Good morning, everyone. Myself, Dr. Savita Tidme. I welcome you all in our next lecture of Introduction to Dairy Industry. Now, here in this lecture, we'll have a brief introduction on dairy industry, the breeds of the dairy animal, as well as diseases of dairy animal, and milk products. Now, here, let's move ahead. In general, what we can say, in general, the requirement of energy is fulfilled by, or requirement of the need of people is fulfilled by the food of a plant origin, and in addition to that, the food of animal origin is also been there. Now, the food of a plant origin, what it means or what it provides to us. Let's see. The food of a plant origin provides a human being with a plenty of energy, but it is deficient in certain nutrients which are present in the food of animal origin, right? So the food of a plant origin, no doubt it is very good, and but it is deficient in certain nutrients which are richly present in the food of a animal origin. Plant products are relatively low in protein, vitamins, and certain minerals. Okay, this is what is missing in the plant food. That is, it is low in protein, vitamins, and certain minerals. On the other hand, the milk, egg, and meat of various kinds of animal is rich in the high percentage of, or it supplies the high percentage of protein and certain important amino acids, and also provides a more amount of vitamins and minerals. Okay, so the impact of rising influence on the consumption of a livestock products is evident, because the livestock product that provides high percentage of a protein, high vitamin and mineral percentage also. So because of that, the consumption of livestock products is going to be increased, right? So the dairy industry, with its production, processing, distribution of milk and milk products, is unique in its importance, as it is concerned with the valuable food stuffs universally consumed by the man. Okay, so what is the milk? Okay, as a dairy industry, it is related with the production and processing of the milk. Now, what is that exactly? So, milk is the fresh lacteal secretion of a milch animal, naturally intended for nourishment of the offsprings, but exploited as an article of food by human being, right? So what is the milk exactly? Milk means a fresh lacteal secretion of the milch animal, which is naturally intended for nourishment of the offsprings, but what we exploit it as a food article. Now here in this case, one important word is there, milch animal. Milch animal means what? Which animal it can be treated as a milch animal? Lactating animal or a milk producing animal is said to be the milch animal. Clear? Okay. Now, let's move ahead. Yes. So what is dairy industry? So dairy industry or dairy animal, what is the definition of it? So dairy animal is nothing but rearing of the milch animal or lactating animal for getting the milk. Okay, for getting the milk is said to be the dairy animal. Now, if you see, there are varieties of dairy animals, like cattle are there, buffaloes are there, even sheep. Okay, so there are different breeds of each type of animal. Let's have a look on the breeds of the dairy animals. So first of all, we'll go with the cattle. So these cattle are the group of animal that includes all types of domestic cattle, and they are known as bovidae. Okay. So there are 4 subgroups of the cattle. which are including several species and many breeds under these four groups. So the Bivalve subgroup, which includes gaur, which is said to be the Bivalve gaurus. Okay. Now this Bivalve gaurus is a wild species of the cattle observed in India, even Burma and Malaya. The second one is the Gayal. So that is Bivalve frontalis. Again, this Bivalve frontalis is a semi-domesticated species found in Assam and Burma. And the third one is the Banteng, that is Bivalve sondaicus. Okay, so which is an important source of beef. So this third one is used as a source of beef in Indonesia, in Burma, as well as in Malaya. Okay, so there is again evidence that in India, certainly from 3000 BC, there were two types of cattle. One is a large and long horn humped variety, and another one is a smaller short horn variety. Okay, there is nothing to indicate how the wild humpless animal developed into the domesticated humped one. All we know is that the zebu carries traits of three varieties of the genus, because that it was developed in the Indus Valley, so was specialized in Indian subcontinent, and that spread southern Asia. So because of that, the large wild humpless variety developed into the domestic form. Okay, now let's move ahead. Yes, the second animal which is used for domestication in dairy, or for domestication in dairy industry, is said to be the buffalo. So these buffaloes, again, they belong to Bovidian or Bovidae family, and from time immemorial it has been a domesticated animal in India and in many other countries too. It occupies an important place amongst the domestic animals of tropics as a provider of a dairy produce, even beef, even dry powder of the milk, we can say. So it is the greatest asset as a domestic animal. Okay, so buffaloes, they are considered to be the greatest asset as a domestic animal. How? Because they produced a high quantity of, or you can say large quantity of the milk. Even they can be a source of a beef, okay, that is meat. Even a dry powder or dry products can be prepared from them. So it is treated as a greatest asset as a domestic animal. Means carrying buffaloes is always in a benefit. The business is always goes in a benefit, not, or it never goes in the loss. Okay, that means assets. So it is generally regarded as a very good dairy animal in India, right? So the breeds of buffalo are lesser than the cow in India. Muran is one of the very good breed of buffalo, which is a good milk yielder, and that is again distributed throughout the Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. Thirdly, or you can say the third milking animal is said to be the sheep. Now, these sheep are maintained in the tropic mainly for the production of meat, and their other functions being to supply the skin, milk, manure, and hair. Okay, so sheep are also kept by some backward communities as a convenient means of obtaining cash, right? So it is again one of the good source of earning money. Carrying sheep is, there is a practically no demand for the wool within region, and in fact a striking feature of the indigenous tropical sheep is that they carries either a completely hairy coat or one which has such a small proportion of wool that it has a no spinning and a little felting quality. Okay, so the indigenous varieties of the sheep, either they will have the long and good quality of the hairs and less is the amount of flesh on their body, and another one variety is they having a small and small hairs on their body which are not of any use for the spinning purpose. So such a wool is always in the laws, or such a wool is not recommended for a spinning industries, but they can be used as a source of the milk as well as the meat, right? And even their byproduct like fecal matter, urine is also used for preparation of the manure. On the other hand, some fine wool in the yielding varieties like merino sheep in tropical Australia is one of the considerable economic importance, and the amount of it sold annually indicates that a given similar economic and marketing facility. Okay, so one of the variety that is merino sheep that gives a very good and fine quality of the wool, and such a wool always going to get the high economic value. So merino sheep, if someone wants to go for the wool production, then can select this merino sheep because the wool quality is always better in this case. Let's move ahead. Now let's see what are the diseases of dairy animals. So the dairy animals, they suffer from a lot of diseases, right? Number of diseases are there like rinderpest, foot and mouth diseases, hemorrhagic diseases, septicemia and anthrax. So what is the rinderpest disease? So this rinderpest disease is just like we can say it is a cattle plague, and it is contagious viral disease and caused by the paramyxovirus, okay, which is the virus causes rinderpest disease, paramyxovirus. Okay, it is characterized by the fever, dysentery, inflammation of the mucous membrane. Okay, so this rinderpest disease is a disease commonly called as a cattle plague, and which is a contagious viral disease caused by the paramyxovirus. Okay, and what are the characteristics? Do you remember? Fever, dysentery, inflammation of the mucous membrane. So whatever mucus lines are there, they get swell in this case. Now the second one is a foot and mouth diseases of cattle and buffaloes. Okay, so the foot and mouth diseases are highly contagious viral diseases of the livestock, and because they are means the viruses are present on the foot and mouth portion, especially attack in that portion, so it get easily transferred, it get easily shifted from one animal to another animal through the direct body contact or through the contact of the surface. Okay, so the third one is the hemorrhagic disease. Now hemorrhagic diseases like septicemia and uh, just here one more I would like to cite apart from the septicemia. So if you remember in your previous year's lecture of a parasitology, there was a one name of a disease called as a Babesia, right? Yes, that Babesia actually it is a protozoan parasite that causes a hemorrhagic disease of the cattle. Okay, and this is also included here. The Babesia disease of the cattle causes severe hemorrhage in case of a cattle. That again, cattle suffer from the high fever, loss of hemoglobin, anemia, loss of productivity like that. Okay, so the septicemia is one of the disease related to the bloodstream. It is a serious bloodstream infection. Okay, and the septicemia also called as the blood poisoning. Okay, and it is a contagious bacterial disease having high mortality. Okay, in this case, the organs which are usually get infected, such as lungs, skin, and through that infected organ, it enters into the bloodstream. This bacteria enters into bloodstream and spread to other body parts and also infected them. So in this case, the rate of mortality is very high. Okay, the next one is anthrax. Okay, so this anthrax, I said, it is a soil borne disease caused by a bacteria, Bacillus anthracis. Okay, what is the name of bacteria? Bacillus anthracis, which is a bacteria that causes a disease, anthrax, in cattle. Right, it occurs in 4 forms, means it infect in different organs accordingly. The name given means anthrax of the skin, anthrax of the lungs, intestinal anthrax, or injectable anthrax. Okay, now this is all about the diseases of dairy animals. Now let's move ahead and see the milk and milk products. Okay, which is again one of the very interesting topic, milk and milk products. Now here in this case, in the marketing of the milk and cream or in their use in making various products, it is often considerable to destroy a portion or all of the contained organism. Okay, usually this is accomplished by application of a heat. Okay, so milk and milk products, their preparation and preservation is one of the important procedure that requires applications of a heat to destroy the microorganism present in it so as to make them durable. So exposure to high enough, expose it to high enough to destroy the content organism are used with the evaporated milk but are not employed with the milk and cream for a direct consumption or for most manufacturing purposes because of their physical and chemical changes induced. Okay, what it means? It means if you want to preserve the milk, if you want to prepare the milk product, okay, then one should go for the high exposure to heat and then again a cold exposure. But if you want to use milk directly, then this procedure is not required. Okay, a simple heating is sufficient. Okay, now there is a partial, whatever we do, in which a partial destruction of the organism takes place and are extensively used and have been a significant factor in development of the dairy industry. What is a significant factor in development of a dairy industry? Heating of the milk. Okay, is a significant factor. When these lower exposures are employed under conditions which meet certain requirements, the process is referred to as a pasteurization. Exposure to high temperature and again to the low is said to be the pasteurization. Okay, now certain objects of a dairy industry you need to study. So the first object is to destroy any disease producing organism present in the milk and to improve their keeping qualities. Whatever dairy products are there, their keeping qualities need to be improved. Then and then only the dairy industries will be in the benefit, right? Yes. Let's see what it means, what these objectives means. Okay, so the object of the dairy industry products, the objects of the dairy industry are to destroy any disease producing organism that may have gained entrance into the milk and to improve their keeping qualities, right? So in the establishment of acceptable exposure to heat, 2 factors are involved: temperature and holding period. Okay, so what is important? Temperature. At what temperature you are going to expose it and at how long, means how for how many hours or for how many minutes you are going to expose the milk product to that said temperature is again important. So two factors are involved, temperature and holding period, and one is an important as other. Okay, so temperature is also important and holding period is also important. It is not like just to consider the temperature and let the holding period go. No, both the factors are equally important. Say a temperature which is ineffective if used for a short period may be entirely satisfactory when period is prolonged. Getting my point? If a temperature, say low temperature, is ineffective if used singly, means if used for a short period, but that low temperature if used for long period, okay, then that may kills the bacteria or pathogen present in the milk and its products, right? So cooling to 10 degrees Celsius or preferably lower, immediately follow the heating to prevent growth of organisms surviving in it. Normally is regarded as a part of the process. Okay, however, when milk or cream is to be used for products involving the growth of organism, cooling needs only to be the temperature employed for such a development. Okay, so what it means, why we do the pasteurization, that is heating of the milk and cooling. So when you heat the milk, okay, when you heat the milk, bacteria they get destroyed, and immediately when you cool it down, okay, below 10 degrees Celsius, then that heat stroke and cold stroke is going to kill completely the bacteria. So the bacteria in such a milk cannot survive, cannot develop further. So ultimately the keeping quality of the milk is going to increase, it's going to rise. Okay, now so in this case time means the temperature and holding time is important. Okay, pasteurization. Now what is the pasteurization? It can be defined as the exposure of the milk to various degrees of temperature under controlled conditions to kill the organism present in it and to preserve it. Okay, what it means? It means exposure of the milk to various degrees of temperature under controlled conditions to kill the organism present in it and to preserve the product. Okay, now there are two types of pasteurization procedures: low temperature and long time. Okay, low temperature and long time, high temperature and short time. So in the previous case, that is while studying the objects of the dairy industry, we study the importance of a time and keeping period, right? So here in this case the same principle is applied. So in the low temperature and long time, say 61.7 Celsius for 30 minutes carried out in holding compartment. Say a holding compartment where the milk is there, which is heated up to 61.7 degrees Celsius and it is kept for about 30 minutes. So that ensures the killing of bacteria present in it. In another case, high temperature and short time, say 71.1 degrees Celsius is the temperature, boiling temperature means the temperature at which the milk is exposed continuously for about 15 minutes. Okay, so that is again sufficient for killing the bacteria present in it, right? So two things are important while studying the pasteurization: temperature and holding time. If the low is the temperature used, then the holding time will be prolonged. If high temperature is used, then holding time will be shortened. Okay, now thank you enough for today's lecture.